Hey guys, it's Nath from Whiskey Wine Hustle. I'm here with my man who needs no introduction, Whiskey Pete. We're obviously at the beautiful Voyager Craft Malts. We're surrounded.
What a facility, right?
Amazing Barley Field, and I thought since we're here, we may as well ask the man about one question that people often ask. What's the difference between single malt whiskey and blended whiskey?
Great question. And where else would you ask it but in a barley farm? Because a barley farm tells us exactly what the difference is. Single malt whiskey means three single things. This is how I like to remember it. One single distillery, so it comes from one single location. You can't blend from other distilleries, hence the blend kind of, gives you a hint. One single thing, the distillery. One single still type, which is copper pot stills. They look like the big energy efficient light globes, but made out of copper. More or less. We'll have plenty of photos and videos of stills up there, don't you worry. And then the final, and this is where we come to grain, is one single grain, and that is malted barley. Beautiful. Perfect. So we've got a head of 6-row malted barley here, lovingly grown by the ever handsome Stu at Whitecross from Voyager Craft Malts. Now, malted barley, we will go through what the malting process is, but this is barley. Now, blended whiskey, conversely, so single malt, three single things. Recap: distillery. And
For a certain type of
put
still.
you on the spot.
And
copper pot stills. And
this
one
beautiful
single
wine
grain,
product.
which is malted barley. Now, blended whiskey. I like to think of blended whiskey as I can't believe it's not butter. So, the reason I say that, right, is think of the butter component. So, for those of you that haven't heard of, I can't believe it's not butter. It's part butter and part margarine. Margarine, depending on how bogan you're feeling. Margarine. Think of the butter like single malt. That's where all the flavor, the quality, and the purity is. And then the margarine, so it's like the flavor backbone to the spirit or the spread.
I didn't want to say filler.
More filler, no killer. and then the grain component, so the non-single malt component, can be made up of anything. It can be made of corn. More often than not, it's wheat, and it's essentially ethanol that they've produced. Tends to be off 2-headed barley as well, not 6-headed barley, which is where all the flavour is.
Production.
High yield. They do whack it in a barrel for a minimum of 2 years in Australia and 3 years in Scotland and Ireland. However, it does lack that flavour and complexity.
So the blended can still be aged.
100%. In fact, it should be. It has to be a minimum of 3. Has to be aged a minimum of 3 years for Scotland and Ireland and 2 years for the rest of the world.
So the quality can be just as good. It's just coming from different areas, different grains.
The quality between blended and single malt. You can get decent quality blended whiskies. 100%. And I tend to find the more expensive the blended whiskey, the higher percentage of single malt that it has. But I like to think of blended whiskey like this. Think of it as an overarching, holistic view of what whiskey can taste like. Most blends will have a bit of sweet, a bit of peat, fruit flavors, some savoury notes, caramels and toffees. Try a blended whiskey, find out those flavours that you love about it, and then you take that and you apply it to single malt and you find a whiskey that does it even better.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Boom. Well, let's go shoot some more videos and drink some whiskey and talk about barley. Thanks, guys. We'll just check the sound on that.
Because for me, it's